You are listening to the Happy Healthy Leadership Podcast with Kathy Williams. Here you will learn to be physically, mentally, and emotionally fit. The focus is not just being healthy by the doctor's standards, but being the best version of yourself you can be, empowering you to be a great leader for your family and your team.
You're listening to Healthy Leadership, Episode 2. All right, today is all about understanding what do you want in life and what are your desires. Now, the reason I talk about this is it is so easy to get lost in our day-to-day role of what are we doing in the now and the here and the busyness of life with family, with work, with our careers. And we forget that path about where are we actually going in life. And if we don't know where we're going or what we actually want and what we're achieving for, we're kind of just haphazardly going through life without an actual purpose. So I wanted today to really focus on what is our purpose, what is our goals, and not only are you going to know what to shoot for in life, but you also get to know when do you back down. Knowing what you want and desire in your life is going to help you to say yes to those things you need to say yes to and no to the things that you really don't need and that you don't care for in life. So starting off is I want you to think right now big picture style of what do you want in your life. And I know we hear this a lot about what do you want, what are your desires, what's your future, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you probably have a lot of goals and aspirations. You may have even done your EOS implementation of your big rocks of 20 years, 10 years down the road. But instead, I want you to think even not just those objects you want or the financial goals that you want in your life, but I want you to think about what are your feelings, what are your emotions, what do you want to experience in life as a whole? I actually heard this great analogy of going into a store. And in this store, this is a future you store of what do you want to experience. And what you get to do is you're just going to pick up and experience these things. And maybe you have a section of the store that is on relationship with your parents or your whole family you even have. You have a parent section and you have a kid section and you have a significant other section in there. And I want you to think about what is it that you want to experience. So starting off, let's start off with that significant other and that partner of yours. You know, one, is it there? Is it that same person? Is it going to be multiple people for you? Is it going to be a marriage? Is it going to be somebody you live with? What is that defined for you? What do you really want? And if you think about your communication, that passion to activities, I want you to start walking around that store and just noticing what is in this store. And you can pick it up right now, mentally, emotionally. And what's great about it is nobody has to know. There's no cameras. Nobody knows what it is. But I want you to just take that mental, emotional time to pick up what would you actually want. And maybe it's just peaceful time. Maybe it's that communication time of being able to sit and relax. Maybe it's travel. But it's finding those, piquing that curiosity and those senses of what is it you want. I want you to think about this now as you move through that store. You're going to move through your kids and and your parents, and maybe you have siblings in there. But I want you to go through each of those family members and think about what is it that you want with that relationship. Don't even worry about the now. Don't think about if you're arguing with somebody. Don't think about your kids if they're challenging. Right now, our children are 8 and 11 now, and it can be challenging. There are 2 boys. My 11-year-old, I think he wants to be a leader himself, and he goes through those battles with my husband and I, and it can be so hard to think about what we want in our relationship 10 years from now when we're in the struggles in the midst of right now. But I still can desire of having a relationship with him where we communicate openly and he can talk to me about his struggles, and that I'm a person that he can respect, and that he knows that will be a listener for them, and that I'm a safe person he can talk to. So go through, and don't, without any judgment, just go through the store and your family. And when you get done with your family, go ahead and maybe move into the next area of your life. Might be, what does your working environment look like? What does it look like for the people underneath you, the people that you lead? What does it look for your colleagues? Is there anybody that you report to, or maybe it's clients, maybe it's a boss? What are those people that you report to? But what do those relationships look like for you? I want you to think about, what do you want to get out of every single one of those relationships? What do you need emotionally? What do you need monetarily, physically, all those things in there? And you're going to take an audit of all those different areas in there and just be really selfish of, what do you want? And also go in that area as you wander down the road, as you think about maybe retirement phase. And you look at, what are the things that you actually want physically in your life? What is a house? What kind of house do you want? What do you want to be doing? What are those physical, material possessions that you want? What kind of clothes do you want to be wearing? What style of life do you want? We're going to go through this and think about other areas. Maybe it's a spiritual life. What do you want for your faith? What do you believe in? How do you want that to look in your life? Is there an area of your life that you serve, a big passion of yours? What does that look like in your life? So we're going to take that time, and we're going to find all these desires, and I want you to just scope and look at your entire shopping cart. And you remember, you always have the ability to put things back in that cart. And you know that they're there in your cart, and you can pick them up and choose them at any time. And if you want 2 years from now, if you decide that that's not for you anymore, you can return it and put it back on that shelf. With no fear, no judgment. Now, you know what you desire. I want you to think of, and actually, if you think of, imagine stepping into this future version of yourself. What does it feel to live like that person? And I want you to think about, as that's future you, I want you to look back and start asking yourself, what did I need to do to get to this point? And that is where you start to get making decisions, and where you're going to impact your life. So what do you want of material possessions in there? And those are big things that we always think about. And what I see a lot of people doing is, we always are trying to keep up with the Joneses. What do they have? And even our kids are demanding, like, Mom, why don't I have the latest, newest, greatest snowmobile? And they only compare themselves to that one family that has more things than us. They don't compare themselves to a family that is struggling and has a house that's barely 100 square feet. They don't have that capacity to judge down or be thankful for what they have. But take your desires and really look at, what do you want in life? And some of those desires that you really want, you might actually have to look at, you already have them. And take that time to be grateful and be thankful for all the things that you actually have right now that you desire. So all of those things, and take that time to be thankful and grateful. And then the things that you want, why do you want them? You need to know your why. And that's going to help you to move through that why, that finding a very powerful why. If it's just so I can feel happy, that's not usually going to drive you. When I was a personal trainer, and people would come into the gym and do a consult with me, and a lot of people come in, why are you here? Well, I want to lose weight. We always have to dig down into, well, why do you want to lose weight? And, typical things that it might look like, well, I want to look good. And a lot of times people don't say the whys, and they have a hard time understanding it. But I want to keep asking yourself, well, why? Let's say somebody comes in, they want to look good. And, well, why do you want to look good? Well, because I want to impress my friends, because they, ridiculed me when I was younger. and I want to prove that I can be healthy. Some people might want to look good because they believe they'll feel loved, or that they'll find a spouse, or they'll be liked by somebody. And what's really interesting is, we talked about in the last episode of love, safety, and belonging. A lot of our wants and desires will go back to, why do you want it? So you feel loved, so you feel safe and like you belong. And if you can ever find a why that attaches to that and really understand that, it's going to drive you a lot more. You might want something, let's say you want everything, says you want a great big boat. Well, what's your why behind it? If it is so you can have fun, there's not gonna be much meaning for it. But if you envision that I'm gonna have this boat so I can bring my family and we can draw them together and we can experience life together, and I'm gonna feel love, and I'm gonna be able to have an impact on my child as they get older, and maybe so they'll bring their grandchildren there, and you have that deeper why and that deeper meaning, your drive for that item will be a lot more clear, and it'll be easier to go through those day-to-day tasks that don't seem like that fun job to build the finances to get to that reward, in a sense, because you have a meaningful why. It could be same thing with just something really small and personal in your life. Maybe you are going through a relationship struggle right now, and maybe your why is that you want to get married, or maybe that you don't want to be married, but you need to know your why. And if it's important to you, it doesn't matter if it's not important to anybody else. And what's also going to be important about that why is you get to start filtering out what everybody else says. Because if it's important to you, it doesn't matter if it's important to your mom. It doesn't matter if it's that important to your dad. You can take them into account and you can still have compassion for their opinions. But when you know your own opinions, is you know your why. Other reason that's important is because as we look at emotions, and we've talked about them, you are 100%, so you are 100% responsible for your emotions. You can't blame them on anybody else. You can't say, well, my mom made me feel this way at all. So when you're parents, I find a big thing in there. Sometimes they want something for you. And when we're afraid of disappointing somebody, we act in a way that is not true to ourselves. And what I'm gonna challenge you to do is know that why, so you can say, Mom, I love you, but this is what I need to do for myself. So looking at those desires, once again, what do you want? Challenge yourself, be excited about your life. Know what you want, know what you wanna feel, know where you are going in life. Because at that point, we're gonna backtrack of your whys, and you're gonna know what to say yes to, what to say no to. Learn the power of no. And remember that if you decide something and you decide you're moving on this track towards something and you decide this is not what I want, you can change your mind. That transition period of sometimes that unknown, just be curious. What is it? What would it be like? And if you start moving, you can always move backwards. Things are always ebbing and flowing and moving. But I'm excited, leave a comment. What are your desires? What's something you learned about yourself today? And as we're through this journey of desire, I look forward to talking to you next time.
If you liked what today's lesson was about, learn more by visiting happyhealthyleadership.com. There you can connect with Kathy and start your journey on becoming mentally fit, as well as improving your company's leadership.